Welcome back. In the previous segment, we talked about raising awareness. In this segment, I want to talk about advocating for specific people groups. And the reality is, this is going to sound a lot like raising awareness, and I've already actually alluded to this to some extent in multiple segments already, but I felt like it was important to take one segment and specifically talk about this, just briefly. And that's the importance of being an advocate for specific people groups. As I mentioned in a previous segment, there are approximately 16,000 people groups on planet Earth. Some missiologists will say as many as 17,000, depending on how you define a people group. But in essence, there are thousands upon thousands of different groups of people that are different culturally. They have different ethnic backgrounds or different ethnic profiles, and in many cases they speak different languages, have different ideologies, different cultural norms and cultural trends within their particular groups. There are between 16 and 17,000 of these groups on planet Earth. The reality is many North Americans, quite frankly, are just really, really ignorant to the fact that people are unique and different. In the nation of India alone, there are thousands of people groups. It's easy for us here in the U.S. to look at the nation of India and say, oh, that's one big group of people. But that is incredibly false. In the nation of India, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of different ethnic groups, all with different ideologies, and in some cases, different languages and different religious beliefs. Different groups of people believe different things. Even within the Islamic world, in particular countries, there are different ethnic groups. We don't want to assume that the Muslims that live in northern Ghana are the same as the Muslims that live in southern Ghana, because they aren't. They are very different. I think sometimes we are very ignorant of these facts. So one of the things that we can do to be great mobilizers is to help people understand that there are different ethnic groups and to help them understand some of the uniquenesses between those different groups. Just yesterday, I was having a conversation with some friends of mine from the nation of India. Some of them are from the northern portion of India, and some of them are from the southern portion of India. We were sort of making some jokes about some of the differences. They were informing me about some of the differences, and they were playfully making fun of one another, mocking one another a tad bit. But the reality is, as you hear these gentlemen talk, they're talking about things that seemingly would never be that different. It would seem that these men from the same nation would have similar ideology, but as they talk, I realize more and more that they have drastically different opinions on various things. I would encourage you to do research on different people groups and pray for them, advocate for them, raise awareness about different groups. Personally, one of the people groups on planet Earth that I have this special kinship with, this special connection with, are the Dinka people. That is a people group living in what is modern-day South Sudan. It was a part of the nation of Sudan for many years. The Dinka people are a very proud people. They are very unique and different from any other people group in the entire continent of Africa. They are incredibly generous, and they have so many unique things about them. I love the Dinka people. I advocate for the Dinka people. I pray for the Dinka people. I talk about the Dinka people quite frequently. Some of the things you can do is you can brainstorm with some of your friends or people in your church or your local church context on how you can help the people, whatever people group you care the most about. For example, there are a large segment of Dinka people living in the panhandle of Oklahoma. Yeah, that's right. In fact, the largest segment of Dinka outside of the nation of Sudan is in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, 4 hours away from civilization. In the most rural portion of Oklahoma is a small town of Dinka, about 10 to 12,000 of them living there. Pretty remarkable, right? What I've sought to do is have friends do things to help the people living there. I've sent financial gifts to churches that are working with the Dinka people there in Oklahoma. And I've worked with churches there to raise missions efforts amongst the Dinka people living in Oklahoma. And what you can do is find a particular people group that you feel connected to, that you feel a particular special kinship with. Pray for them, talk about them, raise awareness about that particular group. advocate for them, champion them, and brainstorm with your friends and your family and your church on things that you can do to raise gospel efforts amongst those particular people groups. Find missions organizations that are doing great work amongst those people, or that are seeking to do great work amongst those people, and help mobilize people into those particular efforts. If you're going to be a great mobilizer, you have to be someone that has great understanding of people groups and that advocates for individual people groups around the world. People around the world need champions. They need advocates like you to fight for them, to raise awareness for them. I'd encourage you, go do it. In the next segment, we're going to talk about local outreach and how that can be a great stepping stone to global missions.